Hello and welcome to ThePrint Softcover, where we launch the latest non-fiction books and speak to the inspiring authors behind them. In today's episode, we have with us Dr. Shamoly Khera, a media producer, a TV personality, a coach, an author, and a podcaster. Incidentally, in 2021, Dr. Shamoly Khera was featured in Time magazine's Most Influential Personalities of the Year list, where she was felicitated as Emerging Author of the Year for her book, Bedazzle. She is a 4-time TEDx speaker and former doctor who has a passion for performance psychology. And she is also the founder of a firm called Speak to Inspire, where she coaches professionals into leaders of tomorrow. Now, today we are going to be talking about her latest book. It's called Letters to the Daughters of Tomorrow. It's a Rupa Publications title where she talks about breaking stereotypes and barriers and cultivating the daughters of today into the leaders of tomorrow. So a very, very important book, and I hope we have a great conversation about it. Welcome to ThePrint, Shamoly.
Thank you, Zoya. Thank you.
Yes.
Such a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So Shamoly, my first question is going to be about the concept of transition generation that you mention in your book. What does it truly mean to be a part of the transition generation, and what unique opportunities and challenges does it entail?
Well, I think it is rare to see working women. Maybe about, few decades back, we were very used to seeing women as homemakers, nurturers, caretakers, and biologically also we are blessed like that, so it's pretty normal. I think it's now when more women are out. It's not like women were not working then, it's just that it was an exception. Now I feel it's pretty much normalized for women to step out and work. A lot of different classes of society are realizing that why not, let's have both the partners go to work. And I feel that is why this is currently the transition generation. It will be normal for kids to see that their mother's going to work and coming back. For example, I often say this, and even in the book, that I was very used to finding my mom at home when I came back from school. And it was a very comforting thing to know that, just to know that she's going to be there when I come back from wherever. And I have a daughter, and I feel that I probably don't give her that comfort because I may not be home when she comes back from school. But when that thought started troubling me, I started realizing that this is probably where change has to come. This is probably where she has to be normalized to the fact that my mom is going to be out working like my father, and it's pretty normal for women to step out and work, and she'll be back from work and we'll have a day together. And it's challenging for us as a generation because we are also dealing with this perfect mother syndrome that we've seen growing up. And but we are setting up our own ideals to match and follow, and I hope we set a positive example.
All right, Shamoly. And there's one more thing that I read in your book, and you talk about a queen bee syndrome where successful women don't really let other women grow in the workspace. So how do you think women can overcome this barrier and support each other more effectively in the workplace?
I was very shocked when I discovered that there is something called the queen bee syndrome. Essentially, it is when women don't help other women at workplace, or worst even, discourage them from climbing up the ladder, or don't offer or share the opportunities with the women around them. And when I started researching, there was an actual name to it. So I said, oh, it's a thing. That means it happens often. And women do feel alienated by other women in the organization. But we have to take a step back here and first understand why has that been happening. One is because we are not used to seeing women at the top and women at senior positions, which is why when some of us reach there, we feel threatened or insecure by the presence of other women, that if I do pull her up, maybe I will be threatened, or maybe my position will be threatened. There are there are boards today in companies where it is essential for 18 or 20% of the board members should be women. But if you pull more women, will you increase the number of percentage in the board? Maybe not. So does that mean I will be replaced by another woman? So it's a general insecurity that follows because we haven't normalized the fact that we can have equal number of men and women at top positions. So when I started looking at it from that empathetic angle, you realize that again, this is the time when that change should come.
Yeah.
So I realized while growing up and while, you know, working in various organizations, that I didn't have many positive examples around me where women are pulling other women up. For example, there are a lot of bro code examples. You know,
Yeah.
bromance is very popular. You will all see very often men standing up for men or men helping very casually.
Yeah.
You see men at networking events. It is so easy for them to just go up and be like, hey, this is what I do. Would you buy from me? Or, you know, sell themselves or sell their business. It is equally tough for a woman to do that because we haven't really been taught to stand up and say this is what we do, or you know, we probably find it a little more aggressive when women do that. So there are multiple layers to it. So this is when I realized that maybe now is the time to start being an example where we kind of set that up. So if I have a foot in the door and if I am in a position of privilege where I can have, you know, more women on team, then why not? And I've realized you do pass the baton. Like since I've started being very conscious about the fact of hiring women or of getting more women on board, and I vocalize the fact that, you know, I do like your talent, but I love the fact that you're a woman and I do want you on my team. I feel somewhere that sets a positive chain of events, and you will see that women stepping it forward because those opportunities, when they come to you like that, I think you feel absolutely grateful and privileged and you want to put that forward. In fact, my very first break when I switched from medicine and I was, you know, in the world of media and I was trying to figure what am I going to do next. I did a couple of years of theatre, but then I was looking at television. I was looking for my big break, but I was not from a background of mass media journalism. Why would a television hire me? Just because I'm passionate about TV or, you know, theatre, may not really, you know, give it up. And this is when there was a woman who said, you know what, there is an opening in this channel, I think you should go. And I got that job, and I will never forget that because her belief in me and my abilities, in spite of me not having the exact credential that people in that field have, is something I carry forward with me today. And I feel we can completely stop the queen bee syndrome and be the queen and, you know, help create more queens for sure.
Yeah, and you also talk about women often separating femininity from intelligence, and you recall your own childhood experiences where you saw both of them as mutually exclusive. How do you think the parents today can help their daughters avoid that? I mean, help their daughters feel that they can be beautiful and intelligent. I mean, they're not two conflicting traits.
It is. It brings a big smile to my face because it is so true even today. That generally when you see something with pink or frills and you know, when you think of something intelligent, it's generally two opposing things. And I talk about the fact that when I wanted to look more intelligent, I would cut my frills down. Clearly I don't believe in it anymore because I'm wearing heels with bows. So I'm quite okay with thinking that, you know, intelligence can be feminine as well. So I feel the kind of positive conversation that you have with your kid can really build up their confidence. So for example, when we had our daughter, I was conscious that, you know, we will not make her room pink. We will not give her pink toys. And over time, her room was full of pink things because either she was being gifted or either she naturally was liking it. And then I said, 1 second, let's take a step back. Why am I even being anti-pink? Like, it's absolutely okay if she, you know, I was like pushing yellow. I'm like, let's be neutral, gender neutral and all of that. But it's her choice. I'm like, maybe she just likes pink. It's absolutely okay. I think it's the conversations that you have with your kid about the abilities and talents that they have. So we are avoiding things like, I mean, that day she wanted to put on makeup and something very silly was going to come up when I stopped myself. I was going to say, you're already pretty, you don't need makeup. But I was like, 1 second. I am not putting on makeup to look pretty. I'm probably just putting on makeup so that I look like I've not so that it doesn't show that I
For
haven't slept
yourself,
last few
yeah.
days, or like at least look fresh for myself or something.
Yeah.
So these are our own conditionings that we have to kind of stop somewhere, and it's everyday fight for me, even though I'm very aware, I'm very conscious. Every day the conversations that we pass to her about the food, about the weight, about the way they look, so it has to be a lot of if you ask about the direct conversations that parents can have, or direct comments, it also has to be a lot of non-physical attributes that you can talk to them about, that they are so kind, or so gentle, or so intelligent, or so smart. I feel kids being smart is such an underrated thing, or something that a kid loves to hear, that they are smart, more than a pretty or a handsome or a beautiful. But that doesn't mean we don't make them feel pretty. Like I think I was also waiting for a lot of validation for a lot of years until like college came. Because that is again something that your parents don't often maybe tell you consciously. But now, in and out, I think parents are getting very aware, and it's also about like what you didn't get, you want to give your kid kind of a conversation. So I think it's about just boosting their morale. It all starts at home.
Yeah, that's amazing. And also coming back to the leadership question, I mean, I think, as you said in your book, leadership is generally associated with men and masculine traits. Do you think now, especially since after writing the book, have you come across any organizations that welcome different leadership styles? Are they doing anything to accommodate different leadership styles that will perhaps allow women to also grow?
I'm not quite sure if work is happening at that front, because we are still pretty much caught in who's going to lead in terms of how we are looking at leadership, because this is a very subconscious thing. Like assertiveness, which is associated with leadership, as I say in the book, is seen as a masculine trait, while how women are very communal, we are very much like empathy and all of that, and that's not seen as leadership, but it's very much a leadership trait. So I feel that change will start coming now when we start seeing more leaders who are women, because we will start seeing them normalize that it's okay, you don't need to be an assertive or a certain kind of masculine energy person to be a leader. And again, it's years of what we've seen. There was this interesting study where a group of people in the room were asked to visualize the silhouette of a leader. They closed their eyes, they opened their eyes, and 75% of the room saw the outline of a man. Why was it not a woman? So the idea is that when we think of a leader, we think of like a blank silhouette of a man. Most people do. So somewhere that has to change. Somewhere when we start seeing more women leading the pack is when we'll realize, leadership can also be done like that. And this is a style that we can accept. And it's nice to have an empathetic leader who cares about us. So it should not be seen as, because you will see, I mean, women are generally either placed in marketing or HR in places where you're supposed to maintain those kind of client relationships or stuff like that. But those are great qualities to be a fabulous leader, and I feel somewhere someone has not told us this. So when I found out that it is one of the top leader qualities, I feel that we are biologically blessed also to be better leaders. Then where is the problem? So that's where actually the book started, because when there was this study of very few, about 6 or 7% of women CEOs are, about 6 or 7% of the top 50 companies of the world CEOs are women. So that's a very minuscule number to even like start. So the whole question was, why are there so few women at the top? And then I realized I'm asking the wrong question. The point is, there are very few women at the bottom of the ladder, especially in India, because we are not even getting on the ladder to go and climb up. So that bottleneck of education to transferring to workspace is where we are losing the women, and that needs to be addressed.
That's an amazing point. And like along similar lines, we talked about the queen bee syndrome, but there's something else that's trending, and that's the pick me girl phenomenon, and where women demean other women to validate themselves in the eyes of men. And it happens everywhere. You see it at the workplace, you see it in school, everywhere. There will be a pick-me girl. Oh no, but I'm better than other girls. So how do you think something like that fits in with the themes that you have explored in your book? And also, what advice would you give to the women who are falling into such patterns?
You know, that's interesting because that's also kind of news to me.
Yeah.
But I feel it comes down to the one sentiment that kindness never goes out of fashion. And when I say kindness, I mean kindness to fellow women around us.
Yeah.
So, of course, this is a very, I think, natural trait. Like, for example, in the gender of, in the species of animals, when you see a peacock, for example, coming out and spreading out his wings, he is basically trying to tell the peahen that I'm a better peacock or a better mate for you than the other men. So this is like kind of a very normal mating dance that they probably do. Women have different ways of probably proving that when maybe they're attracted to a partner, and maybe this is one of those angles that maybe as a partner I'm more suited for you is something that they want to tell the men. But I feel the putting down of other women is something that the other women will never forget, and it leaves a very bitter taste, and it is something that you carry forward. It's very similar to if I help another woman, that woman is 100% going to help another. It's a chain. But when I am bitter, 100% that bitterness is going to be carried forward. It pretty much explains the reason why we've had the kind of soap operas of in-laws doing certain things to bows in the history of India, because they were dealt with those kind of in-laws. So they said, I'll also do the same thing to my bows, and then it passes on, and then kyuki saas became bow, then when bow becomes the saas, she's like, I'm also going to pass down that tragedy down. So the point is that what do we want to pass down? And what do we want to highlight to the daughters of tomorrow? And maybe a pick-me-up girl syndrome is trending today, but 100% it's going to die down tomorrow, because it's not cool or fashionable to put any woman down. It's not even about another individual. Right now I'm like ferociously like, you've got to pick up other girls, and you've got to be like, maybe you're a better individual at a certain thing, and that's an absolutely okay statement to make. Maybe you're a better talent than the other women around you. Which is also okay to elevate yourself. But putting others down, especially in terms of character, something that I think none of the women should, stand for. And this is where I feel like women have to become like, take a leaf out of the bro code that men have. I mean, the way they help each other, be it networking, be it getting a job, be it like, let me introduce you to this person. And it is such a powerful place to be at. And I feel if we start doing that for each other, if I tell you, listen, Zoya, I know this great person, I think you should meet her, and just see the fireworks fly, and just see what you all could create. Like, I think we don't do that often because we don't realize we have that power. So we must do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. You've gone from medicine to media. Has it influenced in any way your perspective on, how has it influenced, in fact, your perspective on gender roles and women's capabilities in general?
I honestly feel very privileged because I have been able to be a part of two professions that it's not like women are rarely part of. Women are very well doing in medicine and media, but it is something that you get into after a lot of struggle, and I've got to experience both. I got into medicine. I was a very, that classic science student that I would either choose medicine or engineering because I was more attracted to how the mind works. I ended up doing that. And I had very encouraging parents where it was individuality and independence was always encouraged. So nothing easier than that was encouraged. So it was like either you be a doctor or be, something equivalent, which I feel at that time was a lot of pressure. But now I feel it helped me push myself. If they didn't expect that much from me, I probably wouldn't have even tried to deliver half of that because I lacked enough examples around me. Our generation at the time had very few positive women examples that you can look up and be like, I want to be like her. And when I did go into medicine, of course, the number of girls in our class were much less than what what the boys were. A lot of women after medicine pursuing, they either choose streams that are lesser stressful on their family life. So they will either choose something where they just have to go to the clinic for a couple of hours so that they are back in time for their family, or they choose something like teaching. So a lot of our teachers were women. At that time, I didn't understand why we have so many of them. The dean was the male though. Which now I'm thinking why, but we need to think about that. So a lot of the teaching faculty was women, and and I remember this discussion like after internship got over, and they were like, as women, you should then either choose just dermat or radiology or gynac. Not gynac is still heavy, but dermat and radio are like very lighter fields. So you can relax and chill, and you can also do other things. Those are not the conversations that men have. You should see the way they speak.
They're so competitive.
It's like men on the football rugby field. They are like, I'm going to take up ortho. Ortho was like the school A card, or I'm going to be a surgeon, and I'm going to or be a plastic surgeon or stuff like that. Like they were talking the big league all the time. Nothing below that. And I was when I look back, I'm like, the conversations in every stream are around, will you be able to manage this with family? Will you be able to take care of the work-life family balance? I said even the man has to do work-life family balance. No one is questioning that. So somewhere I feel when we talk about equality, I constantly say that we have nothing against men, but it's like can we have the conversations that are similar? If I'm supposed to have work-life balance, so is my partner. So if I'm supposed to come back and take care of some of the household things, and so is my partner, and I feel that's the only way that balance will come. They do a little bit more of the house so that we can do a little bit more out, and we kind of split the duties between us. Even in media, I think marriage is such a crucial role. I remember I was in television, and I met my then person I was dating, who later became my husband, and I decided to get married. And I was like, really, at the peak, you're going to get married? I said, what's the peak? This is a journey. Like I'm just going to continue being in media while I get married. And they're like, are you sure? Because once you get married, then you can't focus. And this is not a conversation that anyone has with the man. And I feel extremely annoyed that nothing had changed 10 years back. Sometimes even today, when women around us are getting married, you will ask them, अच्छा तो आप move करोगे, आप वहाँ जाओगे ना, फिर जहाँ पे वो काम कर रहे हैं, अच्छा, and so it's considered, why is that normal? I know, luckily, I mean, only one or two men in my, so many years of life who have moved for their partners, and I have immense respect for them, and I, mention them in the book, and I'm like, these are great examples of, great balancing act. It's not below you to like move, it's absolutely okay. And so those conversations I want to normalize. Don't ask the girl if she's going to leave the job. Is she going to stop breathing, living? No, then why is she going to stop earning? She's going to continue her career journey while also continuing her, marital or starting her marital journey. And so those questions should not be asked.
And along similar lines, professional ambition in general is just so deeply associated with men that a lack of career path or lack of career clarity is also generally associated with them. I think sometimes we forget that young women also go through phases where they're just not clear about what they want to do in life. For example, if they're getting out of college, or if they're, trying to switch careers, that lack of clarity can also come to women. So how do you think it's different for men and women, A? B, what do you think women in that situation can do? Because there is such less literature and in general pop culture stuff for women to rely on. Where do they turn? What do they do?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. There is a part in the book where I say that generally for men, I mean, here we also have to speak for them, that they have so much pressure of being the breadwinner of the house that they in the start don't think of purpose so much. They think of what will, make more money, or how can I materialize my talents or skills into enough money so that tomorrow I can get married and, feed my family or be the main breadwinner of my family. That's the pressure that they grow up with. They've seen those kind of fathers. So generally for them, of what I have noticed is the job comes first, a good paying job comes first, and slowly over time they realize their purpose while being in a bad or a wrong job, that this is okay now, finances are good, but I am not happy deep within. And that's where somewhere you'll find them making the switch, but at least they're making the switch when they're financially ready and happy, because they've already done their purpose finding while they were at a job.
Yeah.
So they are not just sitting and looking, because they are not given that option. Also they have to immediately start minting. For women, I feel, first of all, purpose is a very, very long shot of discussion. It's never really spoken about. It's about, will you work, won't you work? I mean, I know people who have advised their kids or their daughters that, take up something that, is good enough, lukewarm, that, just time pe ghar aa jaye, matlab aisa kuch kar lena. Matlab, it boils my blood to even know that is the kind of, so we are not seeing from the purpose lens. We are seeing from the point of view of, at least you're getting to work. Like that is the favor we are giving the daughter, which is should be changing now. So I feel purpose is a very intrinsic thing. I constantly talk about how it is a very individual journey. So the worst way to find your purpose is by being at home and not doing anything. For example, if I don't know what my purpose is, the first thing I should do is, maybe if these are my 5 or 6 interests or passions or things that I like, I start interning in each of them, or find opportunity, even if it's unpaid, at least to start with. Intern and then start realizing what your skills are, and you will, when work stops feeling like work is actually why they say it's your calling, because you're able to give so much of yourself so naturally, so much without effort. And my first book actually was completely about how you find that inner confidence by individual calling. It's actually while writing that I realized that conversations for men and women are so different, because when I was talking about that book, men didn't have the time to be like, "Arey, mere paas time nahi, purpose ka, I have to go and make money." And women didn't know where to start, because they haven't heard about purpose for a long time, unless that conversation is done with them on a, as a dinner table conversation. Our parents have been like, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? Or that sort of a thing. So I feel interning, jumping in the, jump with all your cards in it, and completely give it a try. Like, I remember when I completed medicine. So during the second or third year, I knew this is not what I'm going to pursue for life. But I was also thinking that if I drop out, I'm going to be telling the story as an 80-year-old grumpy grandma to my kids that I could have finished 5 years, but I didn't want to do it. How is my grandkid going to believe that I had the metal in me, and just because I was not interested, I didn't finish it? I said, no, I will finish it, because I've started something and I want to set a good example that, you can go through it. It's just 5 years. Even though like really young 5 years. So I finished it. I remember the last year of medicine, I said, this is not my calling. I told my parents, and they were obviously very passionate about having a doctor in the family. So you still hear me as Dr. Shamoly Khera. And I told them that give me about 2 years. I feel media is my calling. If that doesn't work out, of course, I can come back and open a clinic, because now I have a degree. So I feel a degree, a full education is extremely powerful, which any individual man or woman should first have in their hand as a big weapon before they think of experimenting wildly, because you want to first study and, have that in your hand. And when things started flying in the field of media, I literally jumped in with all cards in and like make it or break it. And when I started making it, I think that belief starts building around you also, where your parents and your well-wishers start seeing that she knows what she's doing. So I feel women need to start building that confidence by actually doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Shamoly, you mentioned the imposter syndrome in your book and women's constant struggle with perfection. Oh, I mean, I'll be exposed as a fraud at any point. And you also mentioned having insightful conversations with a lot of women in the process. And I also saw while scrolling Instagram that you do have a podcast as well, Daughters of Tomorrow podcast. So I want to know from you if you had any interesting conversations around the imposter syndrome and what those conversations revealed to you about it. Why do women do this to themselves?
You know, I feel early on one of the biggest crux that daughters need to be told is they deserve more.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome kicks in when you feel that what you're receiving is more than what you deserve,
Yeah.
or more than what you expected. And that's when you start feeling that if people around me realize that, oh, she is, she deserves much less than this, or she's getting more than she deserves, is when I will be exposed as a fraud. And you will be surprised at the number of people who at the top have also felt this.
Yeah.
She may be receiving an award on stage, and she may be inside feeling that, why am I even getting this?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe they will find out tomorrow that I'm not deserving of this. And it's more common in women because we expect less from them. Again, it goes back to the conversation of her earning, her career, her purpose is always a bonus. It's never the mainstay. While a man's earning, a boy's future, a boy's purpose is always spoken very seriously of in the family, because isko kal jaake family chalani hai, with that attitude. And so when women start, gaining popularity, gaining financial independence, or just reaching at places where no woman has reached, you start feeling, do you even deserve to be here? Because first, our examples in front of us are very less. So we need to start normalizing, number one, having more women in top positions, or more women role models that we can look up to. And number two, just having that conversation with our girl child or with our daughter that she deserves to have more and she can expect a lot more. It even comes down to her negotiating her salary. Women as compared to men negotiate much lesser than men do.
Yeah.
And men don't care so much about the outcome. They'll go and negotiate. They'll be like, mile to great, nahi mile to theek hai, wapas negotiate karunga. They go with that attitude. But women think twice. They'll think, no, what if this also goes away? What if I look greedy? And no, it's fine, whatever I'm getting. So we already feeling like we are getting enough. We are getting a lot. I'm already so lucky to be here. And we have this all, silly self-affirmations that at first point we don't need. So I feel we need to step out of that, and you will be surprised at how common it is. So next time we meet a girl who's doing well, and if we feel that she's doubting herself, the first thing we must go and tell her is that you're doing great and you deserve more than what you're getting right now. And you see her fly and you see her confidence soar up.
Thank you, Shamoly. That was a lovely, insightful conversation, and I hope more people read your super, super important book. I really hope more daughters do that. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Zoya. This was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.